Adrian and Monica will both take a position in an argument that they don't necessarily agree with. They will take the absolute shining light of that argument in its best light and fight for it to the death. Adrian is coming on as a guest, so all of his opinions are made up. This is like Monica's confessional where the real Monica comes out.
That's not true.
So
this is it. God damn it.
No,
I have no opinions. Oh yeah, I did say that at the beginning of this. That was like my asterisk.
Yeah.
Like for right now, I'm like, go back to the beginning of this podcast and remember when I said that no one should have opinions.
And here's a point.
Now listen to mine.
Yeah. So on Point Counterpoint today, we are going to be debating esports athletes. Are they the ultimate athletes or are they the worst athletes? And they should just be embarrassed for having that title. Adrian will be taking the position of esports athletes being the penultimate or the ultimate in athleticism, and Monica taking that they are the worst. Adrian, you're the guest. We'll start with you opening arguments.
Yeah, sure. I mean, to me, it seems like the kind of thing that might be like, oh, this is no brainer. They're not athletes, but I would argue different. They are the ultimate athletes. I mean, when I think about athletes, the first thing I think about is when they start off, which is like junior high, high school, grade school, like the little junior league, softball leagues when everybody kind of sucks, right? And it's like whatever. But those athletes, like, they're all physical prowess, right? Maybe you're lucky enough to be big. Maybe you're not. You come from a nice family, a lineage, a last name. No one's going to make fun of the top quarterback or the varsity basketball player, that kind of stuff. So they have years and years of just riding the top with no real mental roadblocks in the way. Whereas esport athletes, from the very moment that like they come out of the womb, they're doomed for like years and years and years of mental anguish nonstop all the way through high school. So while real athletes are in the gym or they're outside doing their 2-a-days and going to parties and they're arm in arm and they're like, yeah, illegal drinking.
Dude bros.
Right, dude bros or dude gals or gal bros. Gal girls?
Gal girls.
People. They're doing all this stuff, right? But the esports athletes, you know what they're doing? They're the ones at the lunch table having food thrown at them while they're playing D&D. They're the ones in their Game Boys in a lonely corner of the room while people are making them eat spider webs. And it's that mental prowess and toughness that they carry with them as like a scarlet letter throughout their entire life. So when they're 30 years old and real athletes are starting to break down mentally and their body's breaking down and decomposing, esport athletes, nothing can break them at that point. They've seen it all, been through it all.
So, Monica, do you just not like people escaping their genetic birthright? Should people only do great things if they're born with physical attributes? What's wrong with you? Your response.
Okay, the first thing I want to point out here is the only thing I heard that sounded athletic in that is dodging food. Okay, here's the reality of the situation. All right, you got professional cooks, you got chess players. None of them have to say that they are athletes, and gamers should not either. Think about Dragon Force. So when I think about the hardest going gamers, I think, here, hold on.
Ooh.
You hear that? All right.
Yeah.
That is a gamer. All right. You know what? Other people that do that, porn. People in porn move their fingers really fast. Dragon Force. The band, they move their fingers really freaking fast. I don't know if you guys have watched those videos, and the just all over that the guitar, and they're not athletes. And so I just don't think that gamers need to say that they are athletes. They are not athletes. They are the worst athletes of all time. The only thing that they do is move their fingers, their eyeballs, and their brains probably twitching a little bit. And then outside of that, the most athletic thing that they've done is dodge sandwiches in the lunchroom.
Well, Adrian, it sounds to me like you think people with fast fingers can have the right to athleticism.
I do believe that. I mean, if porn stars want to call themselves athletes, they can do that as well. But at the same time, what's their focus? Move their hips a bit more, take a break, be fluffed up. I mean,
Be fluffed up.
Esport athletes aren't going through that. Look at Dragon Force. They're on stage doing the but their opponent is themselves, and that's it. Or maybe Guitar Hero if they're lucky. Esport athletes, we're talking about people who are facing people day in and day out online, multiple competitors. So, like, when I think of esport athletes, I think about they're the ultimate walk-on competitor, right? So when I think about real athletes, whether it's football or American football or softball or basketball, whatever it is, like they're going all the way through high school and college. They have a pedigree. They're at Georgia Tech. They're first-round draft picks, AA games, AAA games. You know, they're going through all these ringers just to be chosen, hopefully, to be on a team. Whereas like esports athletes, what's their comeuppance? If they're in college, no one's going to say, hey, man, tonight, Division I, you're facing Georgia Tech or Georgetown. Good luck. No, they're facing thousands of people online nonstop using hand-eye coordination, dexterity, clicking. And by the way, if you had kept clicking for another 10 seconds, I promise you would have been out of breath and or sweating, which is why they're so trained for this stuff. They're like Mark Wahlberg in Invincible, the ultimate underdogs, where you're like, they're walking on. Oh, my God, I hope they make it. Oh, my God, they made TSM. And do you cheer for them? Because that's the athlete that you can personally see yourself being one day. They're reasonable athletes.
Well,
they're personable.
It's swaying me. Monica, it sounds to me like you only like people who have planned out lives, and you hate walk-ons. Why? You don't like Rudy?
Oh my God. I hate Rudy. All right? No.
All right, coach.
All right, look. You know, you talked about sweat and how if you were, you know, if I'd been clicking a little bit longer, you know, I might have been sweating. Well, I sweat just from this debate because of nerves. All right. My feet sweat like 13 hours a day without me doing jack shit. So I don't think sweat actually counts for jack shit. And I actually have a very good point here on sweat. You know, I want to measure an athlete. We're talking about esports athletes. You know, if I want them to just run around the block, something I can't even do, and I want them to do it, and then I want to measure the amount of butt sweat that they have, and then I want to put them up on a stage, having them click away, and I want to measure the amount of butt sweat that they have, and I am guaranteeing you that they will have more butt sweat from running around the block, while real athletes run around that block for their entire fucking lives. They never stop running around that planned block, and they love it. And that is passion, and that's a real fucking athlete.
Adrian, are you open to a butt sweat test?
I am, because that's what makes people like them marketable, because that's the kind of thing that us weirdos on the internet look forward to. I'm not going to buy LeBron James's shoe or Tony Romo's shoe when knowing that's made from some poor child in some country that I probably can't even pronounce, and I feel bad for and think, I can't spend $140 on this, and I won't play like any of them. But if I see someone like Faker, if I see PR Belrog coming out with a new scent called Ode to Butt Sweat, I know that I've been there. I know what that's like. I know what the butt sweat's like. I know I can get his butt sweat being a not so good basketball athlete or being the premier fighting game athlete. And seeing myself in that, and I spray it on me, and I go, you know what? Today I feel like PR Belrog. Today I feel like I can go on a 30-game winning streak. I feel like today I can have an Evo moment, and all it takes is one spritz. You know why? Because esports is the future. Take any movie, all right, that emulates the future. Let's take Terminator Salvation. Let's take a Wall-E. I don't see anyone doing slam dunks. I don't see any home runs. I don't see any touchdowns. I don't see any trades. You know what I see? People who are slightly not in the best condition, which I'll give you, sitting in chairs, being esport athletes. I see John Connor in the field with 5 people left in the entire human race because the rest are downstairs being cyber hacksters because they're esport athletes. Because they're the athletes that are going to be the savior of this dying planet, who some say we have 5 billion left. I say like 5 years. So in 5 years, I give my chances to the esport athletes, not these other ones who take endorsements from far-off countries.
Monica, it sounds like you're living in the past and you want the earth to die. Final arguments.
My final argument, and unless in the future these definitions start to change, is that an athlete is defined as a person who is proficient in forms of physical exercise. And I guess my final statement here is that if the physical exercise that an esports athlete is the same amount of physical exercise that I feel when I've had a difficult time, I've eaten too much red meat, and it's time to release it, then I cannot consider an esport athlete to be a true athlete Otherwise, I am a true athlete.
Adrian, do you consider riding the porcelain throne athletic? Your final arguments.
Yeah, it does take a great amount of physical prowess. I mean,
Aw,
the
thanks.
butthole's only made the stretch so far, but it makes room somehow. And like times change with anything. Definitions. I myself hate the fact that epic no longer means this grandeur, a spacious thing like space or notion. Now it means I found a deal on Pringles at 7-Eleven. That's epic. Because definitions change, just like the definition of an athlete changes as we change as human beings. We're working ourselves forward and backwards, and I think esport athletes are filling that gap of what an actual athlete should be. They're role models. They don't beat people up. They don't do drugs. The worst thing they do is Snapchat their dick, maybe, and argue on social media. So I want to see in 5 years Webster's Dictionary defining athlete like that, not these other disreputable human beings.
It's a tough call here on point counterpoint, and sometimes you don't know who to tip the win to. But anytime someone can make an argument about or winning an argument with the idea of rocking back and forth on a toilet, Adrian, I have to give you the win on this point counterpoint. Gamers are athletes, and they might just be the ultimate athletes in the world. I'm sorry, Monica.
Aww, I tried my
That was
best.
every gamer out there who wants to be somebody. This is your chance to say you've done it.
And please don't hate me.
Send her hate mail on Twitter.
Yes.
Show your esports prowess.
No.